Relations. Today is March 23rd, 6:30 p.m. We are here live in the City Council chambers. We're also live streaming on the City Council or the City of Holyoke website and Channel 15. So thank you all for being here. I'm joined today in the council chambers by our committee, Councilor Bacon, Councilor Rivera, Councilor McGivern, and Councilor Bartley. And we are also joined by Councilor Will Puelo, and on Zoom, Councilor Maldonado Velez. And we're going to get started this evening on our agenda because I see we have folks joining us on Zoom, so thank you.
Take number 1 off the table.
Second.
Awesome. So this is ordered that DGR invite Lynn Gray, new general manager of the Holyoke Mall, to allow for an introduction to the Holyoke City Council. So I see we have Lynn here. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. It's great to
Thank you.
have you. And I'm glad you had reached out a few months ago just to acquaint yourself with some folks who may not have had the opportunity to meet you. So I'm gonna kind of turn it over to you just to introduce yourself. And it shouldn't take too long. We'll open it up for questions and go from there.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for having me. I really appreciate the time. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm stretched a little thin. I'm still helping out in Hadley at the Hampshire Mall with another hat that I'm wearing while also leading the charge in Holyoke. So I appreciate the flexibility with the Zoom option. But I really just wanted to put faces and names together, let you know who I was, get to know my face. I really think that a good working relationship with all of our city council members, all of the respective committees is important. It really helps, the forward progress that we're all working toward, and that's a recovery from the pandemic. We are still in recovery mode, but a little bit of background on myself. I've actually been with Pyramid Management Group, who owns the Holyoke Mall. This is my second tour of duty, I like to call it, for the last 6 years. I was with Hampshire Mall for 5 of those years and coming up on almost a year already with Holyoke Mall. But I was with the developer back in the late 90s and early 2000s for about 10 years. And then with another developer for 10 years after that. So I've got pretty extensive knowledge of the shopping center industry, which I'm hoping is going to help propel us to the next level of recovery. We have a number of new openings that have transpired over the last 2 years and will continue to do so. I like to share that the floodgates have reopened as far as interest in enclosed shopping centers. We've been getting a number of calls from entrepreneurs, national brands, regional brands, wanting to open brick and mortar locations, and we're really excited about that. We have a number of new stores that are already under construction, a number of leases out for some of the vacancies in our center. So I'm really excited about this next chapter and seeing how the evolution of our shopping center, from traditional retail and dry retail, as it shifts and molds into, a destination that is not just retail, but includes a number of restaurants, a lot of different dining options, fast casual options, and a number of entertainment concepts as well. I think that transformation is going to continue to happen. I think that we're going to see even more new and exciting uses over the coming, 12 to 24 months. And I think that Holyoke is going to be really proud to call us a partner as they see that transformation continue. Bill Rogalski was 19 years with the company and with Holyoke Mall. I know he had a great relationship with the city and with all of our partners. So I'm hoping to fill those big shoes. I'm hoping that, that the experience that I can bring to the table will help, like I said, propel us into the next phase. Our marketing department certainly contributes in a lot of ways with partnering with a lot of the nonprofits. We allow access to our center to promote those nonprofits. We partner with them for, signature events. We're going to continue to do that as, as people get more comfortable being out and about and in crowds again, which is exciting. And we're seeing traffic levels definitely have improved over the last, 6 to 8 months, which is really, really positive, a great trend to see. So, from Holyoke Mall's standpoint, all is well and continues to improve. So I'm hopeful that that's also, translating to the businesses surrounding. We're seeing a lot of, like I said, interest in the area. Interest in the mall specifically, but that's a really positive trend I wanted to share with you all.
Thank you very much, Lynn. I think a lot of us are pleased to hear that update. I'll open it up to my colleagues. Does anyone have any questions for Lynn? Councilor McGivern?
Thank you, Lynn, and welcome. We met
Thank
briefly
you.
once at the chamber event, I believe. And,
Yes.
it's great to see you in Holyoke. You mentioned Bill, but I go back to Maureen McLeod too, so it's I guess I can
knew
date a
Maury
little bit.
too.
What can the city do for the mall? The mall is was one of our biggest and still, I think, taxpayers, but more important, a center for jobs, a center for entertainment, a shopping district. But we often talk about changes in malls across the country. Is there anything the city could do to help Pyramid or the Holyoke Mall transition into the future?
It's a good question. I think that the way that I would answer that is you're already doing it. I was part of a council meeting a few months back, right when I first started, and idea sharing was a big part of that. Different ideas on different avenues that we could take to transform some of the vacancies in terms of a partnership with the Volleyball Hall of Fame, in terms of a partnership with, different sports organizations for, batting cages or something along those lines, and keeping an open mind to how, these changes evolve and when we bring them forward and supporting that. It's not going to look like, the mall of 1979 with a lot of retail. We're seeing a lot of different new and exciting concepts. And so I think keeping that dialogue going about the interest level that's coming from, the community, things you might be seeing at other centers, and bringing those crazy ideas forward, we're certainly open to that. We're not your traditional shopping center anymore. We don't fit in a specific little box anymore. So just keeping an open mind to those new and exciting uses, I think, is going to be very, very helpful.
Thank you.
You have a question? Councilor Rivera? Oh, here you go.
Thank you. The only question I have quite a few, I know quite a few people that are managers up in the mall. They have reached out to me regarding the escalators. And that's an issue, and a lot of them complaining with, the elderly have to walk all the way to one side of the mall. That's one. And the other one was with Best Buy. I'm not sure. I haven't been to the mall lately, so I'm not sure if they opened the entrance at Best Buy. They had told them it would be like a couple weeks, and then it ended up being more, so I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. So those were the two issues that people wrote to me about.
Sure. No, those are very good questions. I get those questions too. The answer is actually one answer for both of those questions. I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced issues, delays with parts, with contracting, partners with your contractors having labor shortages. We're not immune to that. We have had a lot of, growing pains coming out of the pandemic with getting contractors to be able to staff certain components of whether it's a construction project like the Best Buy one. They run into an issue that delays a project that that certainly happens more often than we like to admit. And the same with the escalators. We struggled with getting the right parts delivered. Supply chain issues was a big part of that, but also labor shortages was another part of that. I can tell you, I didn't walk the mall today, but when I walked it the other day, when I was actually in the property, there was one escalator that was down out of all of the escalators that we have. And that can be for a variety of reasons. I won't bore you with all of the specifics, but a slip, trip, or fall happens and it has to be shut down and inspected by the state. So that could prolong the process for reopening things. It could be a part issue that we're waiting for on order, but I can assure you it is the number one priority of our operations team to make sure that everything is working safely. And as much as humanly possible, it's 100% operational. We have a lot of traffic that flows through the center. And so on any given day, if they run into that, that's the perception that they have. And I'm, certainly, sympathetic to that. But I don't think that it's quite the issue today as it was perhaps 3 or 4 months ago when we were struggling with some supply chain issues and labor issues. I think that we've definitely come a long way in getting some resolve with all of our partners there, and I'm appreciative of their support of that.
Councillor Bartley?
Thank you so much. Thank you to Tessa, just through the chair. Welcome back, Lynn. I'm going to either make a comment or I have a series of questions. So, Lynn, if you don't have the answer, it's all good at this point. But maybe if you don't have an answer, maybe you could circle back with an email or something. One thing I've said multiple times over the years is to Bill Rogalski, and I certainly knew. Is it Maury? It's Maury, right? Maury, yeah. What a legend. So you're in the wake of two legends, and I know you're going to more than measure up and exceed. So the Holyoke Mall has been pretty much a chameleon for the last several years because you had to be. But one question for right now, my first one is the movie theater. What's the status?
We are on hold indefinitely in that respect. One of the issues there, I think, again, probably not a surprise to anyone, but the inventory problems that our theaters have been experiencing coming out of the pandemic with the movie industry as a whole has been a real challenge for them. A lot of things going straight to online or straight to a streaming device has impacted their ability to rebuild momentum there. Not just with the Cinemark brand, but also, a number of brands, including AMC and Regal. They're struggling with a recovery there, and we are a great partner and have found Cinemark to be a great partner of ours. And so we're going to be patient with them as they find their way through the next phase of their growth and development.
Okay, and I'm just going to follow up for a sec with a comment. Councilor McGivern's, we always want to know what we can do, and Joe's right. We want to help them all as much as we can. I just want to point out that we did change the zoning standards for height requirements at the mall. We worked with the mall with the size of the lettering on the buildings, so we've done that. On top of that, the city's also abated the taxes of the mall pretty significantly the last couple of years. So those are three big things that I hope, just for the public's consumption, that this city council has and this city government with the assessors has been working with the mall because we understand its significance. So just in the wake of that, how many do you know how many employees there are that either part full time at Lynn?
Off the top of my head, I was just looking back at some of the notes that I was preparing for today. It's somewhere in the range of 3,000, if memory serves me, but I can verify that and get back to you.
That sounds about right. I really appreciate that. And has the mall or Pyramid ever done an economic study? So, for example, the St. Patrick's Committee, they talk about how that's an economic driver, about $25 million. To the economy, but has the mall ever studied what its impact on the regional economy?
We can attest to the sales volume that's generated through our, through our four walls, is in excess of $342 million annually. And again, that fluctuates based on, tenancy and anchors and that sort of thing. I wouldn't say that that was our 2020 number by any stretch of the imagination. But coming through and getting some final numbers through 2021, that's about the sales volume that the center would pull in.
Yeah, Lynn, and so and look what the mall's done. It's been really great. Look at Holyoke Landing coming. I mean, we had so many committee meetings here for them, and but for the mall, is Holyoke Crossing there? Is Holyoke Landing there? And what's the other one diagonal with the old Applebee's? Are they there? Probably not, right? So that's just increase, and then the development is going to go behind the mall on the west side line relative to the residential. I mean, but for the mall, are they there? Doubtful. So those are important things. I did want to point out just a couple of small things following what Councilor Rivera said. I don't really have too many. I'm at the mall almost every single day getting my mail or a coffee or whatever it is. But so I've certainly seen the volume of cars and the foot traffic. It is really impressive. I was just up there today and I saw Lisa and I didn't chat with her, but I just waved to her and I was just dumbfounded by how many people are at the mall, including me. It's at 2:30 on a Wednesday. You might ask what I was doing there, but that's okay. So I work for myself, so my boss gave me half a break. Just your occupancy rate was somewhere. I was a little surprised the last time you were here. I think it wasn't quite as what I thought it was. So what? But I did see some new stores popping in on the second level. So do you have a ballpark as where we are at this stage?
I can't quote the exact occupancy at this point, but I can tell you that from the last time I was in front of this committee, it definitely has improved. We signed a few more new deals. We have a couple new deals that are lease out that I can't name specific names yet until the ink is dry on their paperwork. But there has been a great influx of interest, not just from a permanent standpoint, but we also have a specialty leasing program where entrepreneurs who are testing out a concept, or maybe there's a business in downtown or in another market or another another city or town that is trying to capture a different audience, which we afford a really large trade area, a great regional draw with our access. And that interest level has increased dramatically as well. We have a good problem, I like to say, with my specialty leasing rep is that he's running out of inventory to put some of these businesses. So we're having to be a little bit more selective about who we're allowing access to. We have a new selfie station. We had a Native Crafts that that tried something out for a few months, and we're backfilling with another clothing retailer that is going to try out the space. So I think that the point I want to drive home on that is we're not just about long-term leases. We're about working with a lot of entrepreneurs and smaller businesses who want to try something out to a larger captive audience and maximize the traffic that the center has. You said it yourself. I haven't really had a site tour with a prospective tenant, whether it's Wednesday at 2:00 or Friday at 9 or 10 a.m. before the mall's even open. We have bodies funneling around, which is great. And it's giving access and business opportunity for a lot of entrepreneurs. So the occupancy level has increased dramatically since we last met a few months ago.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Just to get to the chair. So one other thing that this committee also helped out with, not on top, so never mind the abatements and the height, it was in the back lot with Amazon. Now, obviously, we got a little touchy with Amazon relative to their as a gateway to the back entrances to the city of Holyoke. Their presentation was not optimal, but I give them credit for cleaning it up, and we don't have to revisit what it was. But that's another thing that the city of Holyoke has done for the mall and for and for the city as a whole. But so those 3 or 4 things have happened. I just want to just some small little issues, and I'll conclude. One is, to me, the appearance of the mall is amazing inside. The upgrade that Bill led a few years ago, the $8 million or whatever, it's really great. I would just say the exterior, probably on one with security, I think there's a dearth of it. So I would ask you to maybe consider that. Second of all, the blowing trash and their overfilled receptacles that I go by every single day that are overflowing. So I see that people are making the effort to try to throw trash away, but the mall's got to collect it. And I walk by the same receptacle 3 days in a row; it's still full. So I would just ask you to consider that. The potholes. Now I know the potholes on Holyoke Road are probably the city's problem, but I would just encourage you to speak to the acting DPW superintendent. You have every right to have them come up and fill up some coal patch. If you guys are spending, whatever it is, how many millions of dollars a year on taxes, you can at least ask the DPW superintendent to maybe fill a pothole or two. The same one, that same one that happens all the time with the collapsing catch basin that collapses every single spring, and for whatever reason, it doesn't stay permanently fixed. So maybe she could help out with that if she decides to return an email. Good luck with that. And then. But you should at least reach out, and if that doesn't happen, you should maybe reach out to the mayor. And then I think, just one last thing, because you said it yourself. There used to be a pretty strong connection between the mall, Mount Holyoke College, and Smith College, with that little bus they would take around. And I know that was popular for the Mount Holyoke College students and Smith College students. It seemed to me like it was popular anyhow when I would ever see them. So hopefully that's going to come back, and maybe at some point the mall would consider having a little better connection with the downtown of this city in terms of I don't know, transportation, however you want to define transportation. I'm not really sure what the best way would be to solve that without breaking the bank. But the PVTA, maybe some other, maybe just not a huge bus, but maybe some smaller vans might be a winner. Maybe you could coordinate with the Ward 1 and 2 counselors. Maybe they might have a thought on it. They're both here now, so perhaps they might have a thought on connecting their constituents with the mall. I mean, it really is an asset, and the mall to me is so much nicer now than it was even 10 years ago. So I think it's worth visiting, and hopefully you'll have a lot of success. Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I've made some notes here, and I'll definitely follow up on them with our operations director.
Is it possible to say something?
First no, not at the moment.
Okay.
But I am going to, so unfortunately, no, not at the moment. But
Madam Chair, point of order. If you want, we can always suspend rules to allow the public to speak, but we kind of have an agenda here. I know we're going to hear from them momentarily. So perhaps when their time is up, we can hear from on this point. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's all good. No worries. I'm learning as I go. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. And welcome. And I'll only make a comment and just make you aware of one arena that I'm working on with the public. First, I want to thank you for being so present at a number of our gatherings throughout the city. So I think people throughout the community are getting to know you and what you're doing at the mall. And I've heard a lot of out-of-the-box thinking from you tonight. And I think that you're filling those big shoes from my point of view. And the only thing I'll make you aware of is that I have filed an order with City Council relative to cars that have those overly loud exhausts that sound like gunshots, because I've gotten calls from neighbors near the mall about them racing out of one of the venues when it closes at night. And so I'm just giving you that as an FYI, because it's in more than one area of the city that it's going on. but that is one of them that I've gotten a call about, and I'm just addressing it so far in that manner. So it might come more specifically to your attention at some point. So that's just a heads up. But thank you
Great,
for
I
all you're
appreciate
doing,
it.
and thanks for coming in to our committee and being active in our community.
Thank you.
I'm not seeing any other questions at the moment. I just want to give a comment as well, Lynn. Thank you so much for reaching out. I know you were in DGR several months ago, but the newer counselors, we do appreciate you taking the time to introduce yourself to us, and it's great to hear, that things are starting to look up, and I've always admired how the mall is really leading the way, especially in our area, to adapt to ever-changing economic climate. So kudos to you all and your team for thinking outside the box, and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to be with us here this evening.
Thank you. It was a pleasure and an honor. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay.
Motion to take a,
Well,
or
you
do you
want-
want to,
is this-
that it's complied with?
Yes, there we
I'll
go.
There
second
you
that.
go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, you should, Madam, just point, we should probably take a vote.
Okay, I'm going to take a vote. All those in favor of, okay, great.
Aye.
Awesome.
I'll-
Any opposed?
I'll make a motion, take number 2 off the table, please.
Second.
All right, so this item number 2 is to invite Sarah Greenleaf, Urban Forester of DCR's Urban Community Forestry, to a DGR meeting to discuss DCR's ongoing free tree planting program for Holyoke. This was filed by Councilor Bartley, and we are joined this evening by Sarah Greenleaf. Thank you very much for being here this evening, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to Councilor Bartley and Councilor Puello for inviting me here. And also thank you to Councilor Bartley. A few years ago, we were able to collaborate, and he was able to help me with a tree planting project on Crozier Field and help me get a lot of trees sited there. So,
Awesome.
so yeah, again, happy to have this opportunity tonight. Just to help me voice my goal, which is pretty much just to make sure that the people of Holyoke and municipal partners just know about our program. So my program is Greening the Gateway Cities. It is part of the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And we have been, since 2014, planting free trees in environmental justice neighborhoods throughout the Commonwealth. My program works specifically in Chicopee, Westfield, and Holyoke. And Holyoke was one of the original 3 pilot cities that started in 2014, along with Fall River and Chelsea. And our program has grown a lot since then. We're now in 18 gateway cities across the Commonwealth, and we're looking to continue to expand. So like I mentioned, we started in 2014, and we are still going strong. Initially, there was a lot of great reception, and we, over the years, have just been able to collaborate with municipal partners and also reach out to the community, and basically been able to site a lot of trees. And right now we're at 2,060 trees that we've planted. And so we work specifically in the downtown area. So that's about, it's called our planting zone. It's about 1,000-acre region. And so we don't plant in the whole city. So within that zone, we've planted a little over 2,000. So we do all of this. We offer free trees because of the many, many benefits that trees provide. The biggest reason we're looking to increase urban canopy is to help with energy savings and temperature reduction. So with rising and variable temperatures, being able to increase this urban canopy gives us a way to lower local temperatures, to help mitigate the harmful effects of the urban heat island effect, and really to just to provide the shade that is going to shade buildings and help pull less energy through your AC throughout the summer, and therefore lower your utility bills. So that's the big driver behind us wanting to make sure that people know about this program and take advantage of it so that we can, basically help provide people with a break. Not to mention the other benefits of aesthetics and beauty, and there's mental and physical health benefits that come from trees. They play an important role in climate change and carbon storage. So like I said, we started off with a really great start. I'd say over the last few years, we've began to plateau a little bit in Holyoke, and for several reasons. Like I said, I work at a couple other cities, so I'm sharing tree planting efforts among the 3 municipalities. But there's definitely lots of inherent barriers in urban tree planting. Namely the amount of impervious surface, and downtown Holyoke certainly has a good amount of that, being a very industrial city and also having the canals. So it's actually, physical space to plant trees. Other challenges like overhead obstructions, power lines, underground obstructions. So, but we've been able to move through some of those challenges recently. The Urban and Community Forestry Department in the DCR, they have a municipal assistance grant, and Yoni Glogauer with sustainability, he applied for this grant and got it for the city last year. And so with that grant, we basically created new tree planting locations. So along John Street, next to the parking garage, there are 5 new tree pits. So basically that grant money allowed to bust up that concrete and amend that soil and provide a nice environment for some urban trees. And that really breaks up that continuous stretch of impervious surface. So that has definitely helped us further our efforts. But like I said, my goal is just to make sure people know about this. And if you have heard about it, to kind of update, and to also say we're still here and we're still planting. And I'm just really excited for the spring to be here and to be planting in all 3 of my municipalities, but especially hitting Holyoke with a good push, because so basically we're going for this number of hitting 2,400 trees in each planting zone across the state. And so numbers have been crunched, and this is the number that basically, when we plant this amount of trees, we start to really see and feel those appreciable benefits of the urban canopy. And so we really want to keep going until we get to that number. Like I said, we're at 2,060, so we're doing well. We're on our way there. I basically am just here to kind of say, basically raise kind of awareness of the program and say, how can we site more trees? Pretty much the people who want trees, residents, homeowners, they have their trees by now, which is great. And some call back and we can plant more trees, or, if anything happens to their tree, replace it. But I'm really excited to kind of get the harder to get areas and really kind of complete some gaps in the urban canopy. Our program is continuing to grow. It's doing very well. We recently hit 30,000 trees statewide. We had a nice ceremony with the governor. But in particular, like I said, I'm really excited to kind of drive into Holyoke this season. We do have outreach certainly within our program. We use a variety of methods. We canvass, do door knocking, and just kind of say, hey, this is our program. See that tree across the street that your neighbor got? That was us. If you would like one too, let us know. Definitely have pumped the brakes on that over the last 2 years with COVID. So we've more so relied on postcard mailings, letter mailings. I'm working on a newspaper ad right now. We've had a presence at the farmers market. And there was a great volunteer from Holyoke Heritage State Park who was able to table for us at the farmers market. So we're definitely reaching out to the community. And I'm just kind of, I guess, curious to, basically just update people and see if you have any ideas as far as outreach and maybe hitting the harder to plant areas. Really, a big goal of mine is to we've planted a lot of public properties, so tree belts, tree pits, public parks. We'd really like to focus more on private and residential properties to really get those, direct cooling effects on buildings. So I'm wondering, besides the outreach methods I mentioned, how else can we reach the community members? And specifically, again, it's not the whole city. It's just, I can't remember exactly which wards at the moment. I know certainly Councilor Bartley's and Councilor Puello's. How can we reach more people and kind of make sure that people know about this great opportunity?
Thank you, Sarah. That's a wonderful update. And I remember when this program started, so it's great to see that you've reached 2060. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. Well, first of all, Sarah's you can just tell she's just filled with energy, and so that's not surprising that it comes right through on the TV too, Sarah. So thanks for being here. Well, no, I'm serious. I'm not being but thanks to Will for co-filing this with me. I think what you just did, Sarah, the presentation, I think that's going to lead to a lot of momentum because I'm thinking that the people that watch this at home, now they know that they can have a tree. It's not going to cost them anything. In fact, that you'll come out and plant it. That you offer a variety of species that you can. Mm-hmm. I know my neighbor got a couple of trees and he wanted a specific species, and for him and his wife and his other children, and they were so happy to have it, and the trees in their yard. So those are benefits right there that you didn't even mention. So it's free, that you'll plant it, that you have how many species you have, I don't know, but the homeowner, the residential owner can plant their own. So I just want to point out a couple things. One is that I hope that you can send a communication as often as you want to either our administrative assistant, and that can be a little summation of what the Green and Gateway Cities is, and that can be added to a city council agenda and passed out to councilors, and councilors can pass it out to their constituents, which I have done and which I will continue to do through my email newsletter. The other one is I hope that you'll reach out to the Holyoke Public Schools, and I'm sure you've done it already, but you've got to continue to do that, whether it's to the mayor or directly to the receiver superintendent or to any of the elected school board officials. They're all very conscientious people, and they're all very active in the schools, and I'm sure they would love to pass this along. Moreover, maybe they would even have an opportunity to have you make a presentation in a classroom or in a gathering at some point, just to spread the word. You're stretched pretty thin, but maybe somebody else under your auspices could do that. So, because I'd love to see you reach the goal. To have over 2,000 trees planted is pretty darn amazing. I think that all the reasons you pointed out, which don't have to be repeated, are just so important. The only other thing I'd like to have you consider is perhaps on public spaces, whether they're tree belts that have been asphalted over by prior mayors for some bizarre reason that doesn't really need to be. We can't explain it now, but we have tree pits that mayors asphalted over for their own reasons, which are now lost to history. But just like their arguments, they're lost to history too. So now we can perhaps move on and find a way with the current mayor and the current conservation director and maybe the acting DPW superintendent, and contact them and say, these are the places that we've identified, and we want to put a tree in, and it's not going to interfere with the power line, because that's a big concern for HG&E, and we know that. So we want to have the right tree height and not interfering with power lines. But if we can put it on a public space, especially a municipality owned, then we like to do that. Like I help over at Crozier Field, but there's other little parks off of Roosevelt Street. There's other parks that the Mayor Field's going to get a facelift. Perhaps that might be another place where you could think about planting some trees, and that's just Ward 3. So there's all sorts of other little parks in this city. I remember my UMass buddies when they would come visit me in Holyoke and all that. They could, these are guys from North Shore and South Shore and all that. They cannot believe how many parks you have in Holyoke. I mean, so it's we just have a lot, and it's but we have dying trees, and we have trees that we have spaces that we could use it. The only other place I'm going to mention, I'll end this way, is kind of in the Mass DOT range at the top of 391 and the 91 interchanges. I know Mass DOT can be a handful. But they're at times they can be reasonable, and perhaps if there's a way to convince them to plant some appropriate trees in those areas, I think that would go a long way to helping. So with that, keep up the good work. Send any communications as often as you want to city councilors, to Jeff, to Holyoke Public Schools, to the mayor, and any of the appropriate city officials, public works, conservation, anybody else, our city forester. So those would be some of my thoughts. And Sarah, obviously, I admire you, and I just ask you to keep up the great work. I know it's a lot. I've actually seen Sarah out in the blazing sun and digging holes and all that, and so it's like, man, she does. And we also helped out. Don't forget, we helped out over at Metcalf School last fall as well. So that was, that was really exciting too. And I know that was an honor of, an employee of Metcalf who, shockingly passed away. But still, it was something that was really. I think there's some momentum there, and we can get that going in other places. So thank you, Sarah, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Bartley. I want to just recognize that we are joined on Zoom by Councilor Israel Rivera. Thank you for being here. And Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Chair Murphy-Ramboletti. Sarah, welcome. And I think David hit it perfect to answering your question. Your presence here this evening is not only live on our Access channel, it's also being streamed. And more important, a taping of this meeting will be archived and accessible through our website. So if our administrative assistant can just title this meeting the Meeting of Trees, I'm sure people will be able to listen to the wonderful presentation you just made. I wanted to congratulate you on the success so far, and thank you for bringing this program to the city of Holyoke. Councilor Bartley couldn't have said it better. It's very important. The city of Springfield is known as the city of homes. The city of Holyoke is known as a city of families. But the second thing the city of Holyoke is known as is, if you look at it, we're not just a green city because we just celebrated our St. Patrick's festivities. We are one of the greenest communities in the Commonwealth. I'll share two stories with you. My wife and I yesterday, 2 days ago, went up to Mount Tom Reservation and enjoyed the mountain and walking through the forest and walking through something that very few communities in the Commonwealth have. And we have it right there at our fingertips in our backyard. But more important, the story I want to share with you is I grew up several blocks from here on Beach Street. To get to Beach Street, you just leave City Hall, cross over High Street, and it goes Maple Street, Chestnut Street, Walnut Street, Pine Street, Beach Street, and Oak Street. And the names weren't just after trees. As kids, we grew up, we hunted on each street to find out the tree for the name of the street. There are actually, the last inventory I saw, 3 beech trees left on Beach Street that I know of. And it's an incredible story. Oak Street, well, we got oak trees everywhere. Pine Street, Walnut Street, it's interesting. But our favorite street of all time was Chestnut Street, because we knew every horse chestnut tree in the city, and we knew how to collect them when they came off the trees in the fall. And we had, I still have some of those collections at home, if you believe that. But trees are important, and you could not have said it better for several reasons. For the canopy, for the environment, for physical health, for mental health. Trees are a big part of it for cooling down what we've done to this, to the world by by the actual urban living that we so many of us enjoy, but it comes with a price. And to bring trees back to Holyoke the way you have is a great plus, and just want you to know we greatly appreciate it.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I did not know that Holyoke was the city of families.
You heard it here.
All right. Cool. Great.
We can't be the city of houses because a city of homes because they destroyed all those trees to create those homes.
There you go. All right. Cool. Now I got the whole story. Councilor Bacon and then Councilor Rivera.
Hi, I want to thank you for a great update. And I just wanted to pick up on one comment that you made about the carbon. And I think the other added benefit of all of the trees is to help improve our air quality also. And so that's been a huge recent topic. And so I think there's even that added benefit to your project. So thank you very much. And I wish you continued success.
Great. Councilor Rivera.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you to Sarah as well and the tree program because a lot of what they're doing is pretty awesome. And I had to reach out today to Yoni because I'm adopting an island on Main and Ray Street, and I want to get a tree planted there myself. Probably I think it's called a conifer tree. So that way in the winter we can decorate it. To do a Christmas kind of event around it in the around that area. But I don't know, I'm learning and I'm going through the process. I'm going to be emailing you soon so that I can find out whether or not we can get that tree donated. If not, then we could find out. He suggested something else that's kind of like a rare tree. That's pretty cool too. But there was like a theme to what I wanted to do. But that's pretty awesome and I totally appreciate that.
That's great. I look forward to that. Sounds great.
Awesome. Councilor Puello?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to Councilor Bartley for letting me co-sponsor this with him. You got a great program over there, Sarah, and we really appreciate what you're doing. And I wanted to extend an invitation because Councilor Rivera, Jenny, and I, the other ward is Ward 1, by the way, we're going to be meeting with the mayor soon to talk about redoing sidewalks, and I think it'd be great if you were a part of that conversation, whereas we're going along looking for areas to redo them with the impact fee money that we have, we could put some trees out. I think it'd be really cool to have you be a part of that conversation if you're willing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
I just had one question, so could you just walk us through briefly what the process is if someone is interested in doing this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So our website is the easiest way to get in touch. It's maurbancanopy.org. And basically you can go on the website and it works for across the state for all the different programs that exist. You can find out if you can put your address in, find out if you live within the planting zone. And then you can send a direct communication that just gets sent to my inbox. Or we also have a general phone number, and I can certainly make this information available so you can share it. Leave me a message, and basically I would schedule an appointment with the homeowner, or you don't have to be a homeowner, you can be a resident, just as long as you do ultimately get the approval of the homeowner, or even businesses. I mean, really, wherever there's a spot, we'll plant a tree as long as it's appropriate. So I'll schedule a site visit. We'll look at the area. We'll look at any restraints that might be present. We'll talk about the different species that are available. We have about 40 or so species. Not all of them are appropriate for every space. So it's really we really employ the principle, right tree, right place. I work with the resident to figure out what tree they would like, or multiple trees. There's really no limit of trees per property. And then we've got a spring and a fall planting season. So within those 12-week periods, we will come to your house, and my trained crew will plant a tree at your property or several. And then we do follow up. We give you some information, some literature about aftercare and maintenance. And I always just let people know I'm a phone call away, if they have questions about maybe the tree isn't looking as they expected it, or, whatever, am I watering correctly? So the tree is free. It's just basically that commitment to water the tree. The first 2 years after the tree is put into the ground, that's considered the adjustment period, really, where the tree may not grow a ton of new canopy, but it's really focusing on spreading its roots. So it's very important to be watering it weekly. We just ask that the resident, homeowner, business owner, steward, just water that tree 15 gallons a week for that first 2-year period.
Thank you. And you answered my second question, was going to be, can businesses also reach out if they're interested? So if that's a yes, I would recommend perhaps, if you haven't already, reaching out to the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce and seeing if they'll help you get the word out. You know, they have a huge email list of folks that might really be interested. The other suggestion I had for outreach, maybe you've done this already, could be the senior center. You know, some of those folks might be interested in putting something on their property, and they may just not know.
I think we planted for them several years ago, but it's definitely time to reach out again. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not seeing any other questions or comments from anyone. I think, Izzy, you still have your hand up, right? That's not new. Okay, just making sure. Well, with that, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us this evening and just giving us some background. And I know that all of us will take the opportunity to help spread the word about what you're doing. And please, like Councilor Bartley said, follow up with us anytime, and we can help get the word out about what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome.
Offer a motion that this has been complied with.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? No? Awesome. Thank you.
Motion to take 3 off the table?
Second.
Great. Do I have to do all those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, so item number 3, we are joined this evening. This is that the Honorable City Council, in accord with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, and Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, vote that the City of Holyoke accept the proposal and sell 144 High Street for $5,000 to Carlos Pena and Katie Moonen of Paper City Clothing Company. This is in the assessors. It is zoned as downtown business, assessed value of $88,000. And this evening we are joined by several folks. We have our fearless team of Aaron and John from the Office of Planning and Economic Development, and it looks like we're also joined by Paper City Clothing Company, Carlos and Katie. So I'm gonna let Aaron and John kick us off with an introduction, and then we'll allow our proponents to also speak. So, Aaron, take it away.
Good evening. So good to see you. Very excited to be here tonight. So just good meeting so far. You know, Lynn, I just want to say, to some of the councilors' questions, the mall and Lynn and the team there, they've been, really supportive of our tourism plan and part of the stakeholders group. So they definitely are good partners. And to Sarah, if you're still on, always include me in an email. I think good idea to get you in the conversation on the street stuff. So really good meeting tonight. And we cap it off with a really great proposal in front of us and a great opportunity. So as you know, we are trying to move more property through out to get it back into the private sector, developed, tax paying, and creating better environment for downtown, especially on the block of High Street. So RFP went out recently for this property, and a little bit of backstory. This property was actually on our demo list through the Preservation Property Group. This property was on the list, and really grateful again to the City Council for the shift in the discussion and having money for demo done by the city. Saves us a lot of money, get some projects done quickly. But this was on the demo list, and a couple months back, we had some interest, some calls coming to the office, and so we re-looked at it and said, well, there's some interesting stuff happening on that block of High Street. Kai and Eli's is there, Surf Food is there, there's some new women's clothing stores and salon things happening there. And so we put it back out to RFP, and we actually got 10 different groups to come through on our open house. So 10 different groups came through. We had 2 days open house, and the people before you today, Carlos and Katie, they came in both times. And so instead of demoing this property, we're now getting into private hands. and going to see a nearly $300,000 investment into a block, into a building on High Street. So it's just fantastic for the city. And you look at the timeline in the summary that you have before you. The city took the property back in 2016. It went out to RFP already once. That didn't come to fruition. But a lot of times with this stuff, it's timing. And I think that a lot of the work that's been done over the last 5 and 10 years, and even more sometimes, is really coming to fruition now. So we're excited for that. Just so you know, kind of the process is how this happens, just in case I know there's some new counselors with us tonight. We get this property through the whole surplus property, and then it's transferred to be disposed. And sometimes it comes to the HRA, which is a whole other property, a whole other situation. But this was a city property, and so we often take the lead in my office. And John Dijek, who's with us tonight, really works really hard on this stuff, keeping in contact with the whole process internally and externally. So it goes out to RFP. We got, like I said, we got 3 bids in from those 10 people that walked through. 3 great bids. And so review committees put together, and we review those bids. Lori from purchasing obviously keeps us all in check and make sure we're doing everything according to state procurement law. I've tried to read through that digest of regulations, but more power to those who can get through it all. And so she guides us through it. And again, John's been through this a number of times. So the review committee reviews all the bids, and we look at them blind without the offer, without the financial part to it. So we look at the proposal, we look at their financials, we look at their plans, look at what support letters they have, etc. And this one rose to the top. Very excited for this one. Their plan was nearly a $300,000 investment. The timeline was just in line with what we like to see, a 12-month timeline after purchasing the property, which takes some time. But other proposals were really good. This one stood out because it wasn't a phased project. They had the investment ready to go, and they're a current business. And I think this is really kind of the icing on the cake with this one, is that this is a current business in Holyoke, doing great things, working with our youth, working with our school system on a lot of their art projects, having an art gallery that brings people from all over the area in, supporting other local businesses with food truck events and whatnot. And so, I can't sing enough praises for Katie and Carlos, really. They do a lot of good stuff for a long time in Holyoke. So to support a local business that's already been established and get them to own a building, again, that we were about to demo. And so that was great. So their proposal rose to the top. I will say also that they had bid on property in the past, and it didn't go forward, obviously. And but they met with us, they met with Lori, they kind of learned the process more. They went and do their due diligence and came back with a much stronger proposal. So again, that just showed their interest and their commitment to Holyoke. And so after we grade it, we score it, and then that one rose to the top. But then we open up the bids to see what the proposals were. And interestingly enough, all 3 proposals were at the same price. So that ends up having no factor. And again, as in the past, and we're able to explain back in the past, but the highest bid doesn't always win, right? Sometimes the proposal is can override the financial aspect of it, because our goal is not really to get X amount of dollars for this property in the short-sightedness of it. This is long-term. This is an investment in the community, but it's going to be a taxpayer entity for a long time. We now don't have an empty lot on this section of High Street that, again, is coming back to life with a lot of private investment. So, and public investment, obviously, behind with Lyman Terrace, et cetera. So just excited to have this project before you. And again, thank the City Council for helping us with this process, because my office, like I say, it takes the whole team to get this stuff down the finish line, down to the goal line. So your process of getting this property to us, and obviously Lori and the purchasing department, their work. But again, really, John Dijek in my office really guides us through this and guides a lot of the applicants through as well. So with that, I let if I forgot anything, I let John fill in the blanks. And then, of course, you've got Katie and Carlos here tonight. So,
thank you, Aaron. John, is there anything that you want to add?
Wait. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Aaron did a great job covering everything.
Oh, we have an echo. There we go.
Sorry, guys, it's me.
That's okay. That's all right. It sounds like Aaron covered it, so you can put yourself on mute. No worries. Feel free to, raise your hand if you want me to, if you want to add anything. But since these individuals are here, I just want to give the owners of Paper City Clothing Company an opportunity to just briefly introduce yourselves, and then after that we can go into questions.
Hi, how you guys doing? Carlos from Paper City Clothing Company. Thank you, Aaron, for such a great introduction. Like Aaron said, we've been working with the community for a while. We've been here for a while trying to build this business, and we've gone through the steps and tried to really understand how things run and how to really do them. And thank you guys for looking at our proposal and accepting it. It's really an honor.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Katie Moonen, a partner at Paper City, and just thanks again so much. Thank you to the whole council and in particular this committee for considering our proposal. Thank you, Aaron and John and Lori. We're just grateful to have this opportunity. I think a little bit of context. First of all, we're just here to answer any questions. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah. I think you have our proposal in front of you. And if there's any questions that you have, we're here to answer them. But just one layer of context for us as business owners. We've been leasing. We've had a multi-year lease down at the Parsons Hall building on the corner of, at the bottom of Dwight Street where it meets Main Street. It's been a wonderful experience. It's what drew us to the city of Holyoke originally, was the opportunity to rent there. And then through E4All, we started our business. Well, then it was Spark. That's another story. But the city of Holyoke has really opened so many doors for us. And this is one that we're so grateful to have the opportunity for. And we are here to tell you that we mean every word of our proposal and we mean to follow through to the letter. Our landlord, long story short, is raising, we've had this multi-year lease. Now it's going up by 30%. And it just became clear that we need to go big or go home, or change our business model, or move to a different town or something in terms of leasing. So we were excited as of a year or so ago to start looking at ways that we could transition to owning our own space. And so that's a little bit of context as far as where we're at as business owners. And again, just any questions you have about the proposal, just let us know. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, if I can make one last comment,
Yeah.
just again, a quick shout out recognition. The law department, again, is so key in this. As I mentioned, the whole team comes together to do this. I say that my office gets up to the 20-yard line, and it's usually up to the law department to get it to a touchdown. And so on this one, I think Mike and Lisa and Kathy and Lean over there, and I think this was Jamie, their paralegal. I think this was her first sort of land agreement or sort of transfer stuff, and so she's learning. So it's really great to be part of a team that's excited about moving these properties and getting them into private hands. So just want to give the law department a shout out too.
Absolutely. Yes. I know it is not an easy feat to get to this point, so thank you. So with that, I'm going to open it up to my fellow committee members. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Chair. Murphy Armaletti. Aaron, just a quick question on a great proposal and presentation. The standard reverter clause will be part of the language? And can you just explain that too?
Standard and a little, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe a little cleaned up actually too. We've sort of been working on some of these, so not as staged as it was before, and so much more clear and straightforward. So, but John, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, or Mike.
Correct, Aaron.
Okay. Yeah. So reverter language in there and much clearer and we've actually been talking about creating a system internally. Some of the stuff, has come and gone and talked about oftentimes. But we got to track these reverters a little bit better internally. And so we're working on that as well. So I think with this cleaned up reverter and clarity in the language, it'll make it a little easier.
Thank you. And to Katie and Carlos, welcome. I'm sure you know a little bit about the history of this building. It was built in 1880, but the more recent history was kind of an art gallery for one of our local artists. And it's certainly part of our history and part of our fabric, more important. And now I think Paper City Clothing is going to be part of our fabric, pardon the pun. but it's just something that we welcome. I speak in favor of what's before us. We declared it surplus a while ago. The $5,000 is not the important number here, as Aaron pointed out. It's the business plan, the proposal, the investment of $290,000 into a building we were about to lose, the investment into a street neighborhood, retail section of our city, which this would be a great shot in the arm. And I'm sure all the other business owners in the area, including the residential owners in the area, in the area, will welcome this business onto High Street and plug in a vacant spot. Well done. The city doesn't want to own any property. Unfortunately, and kind of tragically, we had to take this one. But there is right now zero coming from this piece of property. And until your investment, an eyesore with nothing the city gains from. So welcome. We thank you for your proposal, and you certainly have my support.
Thank you so much, Councilor.
And Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Tessa. I really appreciate it. And just through the chair, let me just follow up what Councilor McGivern said. So just put in perspective, it's not about the $5,000, right? So we sold to East Hampton Bank that parcel on Beach and Sargent for $5,000. That was the offer put before us. So, I mean, the point, as Joe said, is to get some of these dilapidated non-tax buildings back on a public tax roll. I'm very grateful that there's going to be private investment. I am going to follow up with two of the letters that are in here on the private investment. I just want to have you just flesh it out a little bit for me. But my general comment is that the more OPED does this, the more we're gonna respond to it. Now, clearly, we were here a few years ago, and we had somebody else coming in for 144, and that fizzled. But that's not a reflection, in my opinion, on the city. That's a reflection on perhaps the the economy, or perhaps COVID, or whatever it is. So we're generally, I think in my career, I think we denied one, definitely one, and that was for Appleton Street, because that proposal was a flat-out embarrassment. And then we ultimately got 30 times what we asked for, so what we originally proposed. So we don't have to revisit that, but Councilor McGivern remembers that vote, and so we did. But other than that one vote for that property on Appleton Street, we've supported every one of these. At least this committee has, and the city council. So the $5,000 is, it's not for the public. Might say, well, geez, we're selling this for $5,000. Well, it's really more of a question of getting it on the tax roll, and then that's what leads me to my next point, which is the investment. So to you both, we're glad you're here, but I do see a letter referencing $290,000, and I see another letter referencing $100,000. Now, I'm not 100% sure if these letters they're on a public agenda, but I don't want to go into the details on them, because I don't want to do this. Somebody wants to get a copy of the letter, they can do a FOIA request for Jeff. But can you just tell me what are these parallel investments? Is one the injection from, and they both come from out of state, and I don't care. In fact, I'm glad. It's good to have funds from another community coming in to support Holyoke. I think it's wonderful. But can you kind of tell me what's the plan for? Are they both active loans, or just flesh that out a little bit for me, if you would?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the question. They're both parallel, and one of them is sort of in case that extra is needed. I know that with construction projects, things can sometimes go higher, so we wanted to make sure that we wouldn't face a hard stop if that were the case. So they're both parallel. Okay, and it's more of a profit sharing. Part of it is profit sharing, part of it is repayment, like a private loan.
Okay, and just for, you don't have to answer this, but and I deal with private lenders all the time, but are these going to be kind of recorded mortgages, do you think, or is it just hard to say? Are they gifts? What are they?
It's just going to be it's just private, but it will be with an attorney, like on paper with an attorney working with us on it, but it won't be a recorded mortgage.
Okay, yeah, so which I didn't think they were, so, and that's okay. I just want to, I mean, look, like I said, the $5,000 isn't really the point. The point is just try to get some investment, but when a financial loan is not placed on record, perfectly legitimate, it just lends me to question sometimes sometimes the full commitment of the lender because there's not a, when we record these documents, then they become a public record. When it's not recorded it means that there's, we're kind of flying on faith, which that was the prior thing. So that's why you heard Councilor McGivern, and I'm sure your lawyers are going to advise you on the reverter clause, which I'm sure you're familiar with that. We're not going to go to learn property 101 right now, but it just means that there's not Damocles sword, but there's a little bit of a pullback. So if the city is seeing that nothing is happening, then the city can reel everything back in, and I guess you get your $5,000 back. So that's some good news. But the hope is that you won't have to, and that this will materialize into something great. Just on the vision, so we're having your business as a retail business, and it sounds like you're doing very well. So we're happy to hear that. And then just tell me, why don't you tell me a little bit about your business in a Reader's Digest version, then on the art gallery, and then what's happening upstairs. Is that 2 residential units or 1 residential unit, and just how many bedrooms in each, please?
Yes. So our business, Paper City Clothing Company, we are a screen printing, so custom apparel as a service, but then we also have a line of original designs that we print in-house and sell in a retail environment in our brick and mortar storefront on Dwight Street, as well as online, an online store. And then this past fall, Carlos is an artist as well, and it's really connected with the arts. And in general, our mission is, our business is a for-profit business, but it is mission driven. And we've always done a lot with offering work opportunities for young people and workshops for them to learn about the trade of screen printing, design, different things like that. And so the gallery comes from that place, and it's a separate but synergistic project with the storefront. So when people walk into the storefront, they can buy, from our retail offerings, but also step through the door to the gallery space. And this was partially inspired because where we're renting is really large. It's more space than we need for our screen printing workshop. So Carlos had this vision of the gallery, and I don't know if you want to say anything else, but this is an exciting new piece of what we do that we do envision for 144 High for sure.
Yeah. Well, I work in a school. I work at Lighthouse in Holyoke, and through working at Lighthouse, this is the space where the kids get to create, and they get to come up with ideas and designs that they have in their head through my class and my course, and actually get to bring it to life from beginning to end. Create it, actually put it on the screen, and learn how to do that, and actually learn how to silk screen and produce an item that they could actually sell. And then through the retail space, they do that. They make their product and they actually sell it through my retail space.
But the gallery.
But the gallery is a space where, the kids are working there, and that's our space to work. And since it was always, we're downtown in that art district, and the kids have a lot of art, I decided to dive into the art world and start allowing people of color to come and have a space to present their artwork. And a lot of youth come there and put their artwork, and I'll have a youth art exhibit in May coming up. And it became a space of healing and sharing your art and community. And that's something that I think I want to hold in my business, because we're a social enterprise, and the community is our business. And that's just something that I really want to incorporate into my space, and I have, and it's going good. And I appreciate people coming through and looking at the art that they would never saw. Kids get to be in the space and and see art in a different space, in a different way, because most galleries don't allow kids to come in it, or it's really like hands off, like watch what you're doing, you can't bump it to the wall. And this space allows you to relax and kind of enjoy the artwork and heal from that. So I started the gallery for that purpose.
Well, that's very impressive. I really appreciate you telling me that. Just on the upstairs for the residential, will you tell me what's going on there,
Yes.
please?
Absolutely. So when we toured the building, we noticed that it seemed to have already been in use as a residential space on the second floor only. So our vision is to keep it like that. If budget allows, we are curious what it would look like to make it into 2 upstairs units instead of 1.
Yeah, 2 studio apartments.
That sort of, for down the road, it remains to be seen, but definitely hoping to keep it, as Carla said, the ground floor would be 50% our screen printing operation, the other 50% the retail gallery space, public facing zone on the first floor, and then second floor would be continued to be residential.
Oh, and all that is within your budget as proposed?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Puelo? I don't think so. You're good.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So I do have a number of questions for the proposal and a couple of concerns. And I want to start off by saying that I'm of the opinion that I think that the city should be protective of properties that have been taken over. You know, I think that business is booming in Holyoke. I think we're doing great. And I think that we really should be able to pick and choose what properties we give out, especially for a price like this. I think this is a really, really good deal. So I've got a couple of questions around the letters here. So I saw that I saw safe and affordable housing, and that was on the upstairs part for the residential unit. Can we talk a little bit about what that means? Are we looking at how much people are making? Are we looking at making that concrete low income, or how's that working?
I think we would look to get some community input, quite frankly, Counselor, if it's neither of us is knowledgeable in terms of what is more needed. Is it market rate? Is it low income housing? We're completely open to community input for how to designate those units, either that 1 unit or those 2 units, budget allowing.
Yeah, and we usually, I usually face to the community. I really like to see what people's input is, especially people that are very knowledgeable of the situation, and also the people that are well known in the community. And like, you know, I like to involve people that are part of the community to try to realize what really is needed and what's not. Lighthouse is a perfect example. You know, it took a year of asking the community questions and having meetings of what it is that the community needs. So I think that something like that would take precedent in that situation.
So I appreciate going to the community and asking for feedback. I think that's really cool that we're willing to sit down and ask those type of questions. I guess my question is there, like when we're talking about residential, and I saw earlier in the letter, I think it said that you guys have experience already in being landlords. So maybe if you could talk about that a little bit. I'm wondering is there like, are we looking at specific low income rent? Are we looking to lock in somebody for low income for that residential unit upstairs?
To give you a short answer, that's not a specific plan right now. We're open to that. We're kind of still in the early days, and didn't even know if they give us the time of day with the proposal. So
yeah, it's kind of, you know, this just kind of sprung up, and we're very we know that it's going to be an apartment upstairs. We just don't know the logistics of it's going to be low income.
But as far as our experience, we both took the landlord education course through Wayfinders, and we own a multifamily on Willow Street and on Gilman Street. So we have a total of 3 tenants currently. One of them is a Section 8 tenant. They're our best tenant.
Yeah.
We love working with all kinds of folks in that department.
Yeah.
But definitely looking for community input, like you said.
I noticed that, Aaron, did you want to add something? I just want to give you that.
Yeah,
chance.
maybe just to clarify one piece. You know, if the council is thinking this at all, like there's no low income tax credits being used for this redevelopment. So this is investment. This is cash. There's no tax credits. This is not a
correct.
There's gonna be no state requirement on it being income restricted in any way.
Right. We just happen to be open to that if we find the right, yeah. But no, that's, yes.
We can charge, and I would just say, even we were up there during the open house, and it's going to be a great place to live. And that's a big focus for us right now in OPED with a number of projects going on, is to rehabilitate the upper floors of High Street. And that's a big focus for us now. So this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that from my friend Mr. Vega. And I just, again, that's my only concern is, and I'm thinking about filing an order. I've actually been talking with some of my colleagues and some other community organizations around the neighborhood, talking about ways to incorporate community benefit agreements for deals like this, because I think this is, in my opinion, this is the second agreement where I'm kind of like, I don't know, where we're giving out property and we're really not having any conditions, because this is the people's plot. This belongs to the city and it belongs to the people. And so I'm thinking that maybe if we're going to have some sort of residential thing upstairs, maybe if we're giving the property away for free, we can have some sort of thing that locks people into a low income rent or something, and it's binding, and have it be binding. And so my second question is, I saw that it was going to be gas, but I'm assuming that the building hasn't been heated with gas for a while, so it probably lost the meter. Do we know if we're planning on doing oil or electric HVAC?
Electric HVAC is
That's
the
really
plan.
cool.
Yeah. Ductless mini splits.
That's awesome. And that was going to be my second point, that some of these moving forward, that's something that my order is going to incorporate, is that we have to have these proposals baked in. If we're not going to use gas, we can't let these properties go back to oil. So I really appreciate that that's going to be electric. So we got that. Okay, great. Those are my questions, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
No problem. And just to clarify, it's not given away for free. They are paying $5,000. But just to clarify, I see Councilor Rivera's hand up. Not Jenny, you, sorry.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you to the Paper City Clothing Company for investing as much time in Holyoke, because I can remember since I came out of prison when I first met both of them, and they were organizing and they had the Paper City clothing spot down there. One of the most interesting things they pointed out to me, though, is the 30% increase in their rent. And that's scary to me for that community, especially down there, where low-income residents will be facing some of this as the cannabis industry continues to take off. And for me, it'd be more interesting to focus on rent control in those areas versus people that are kind of investing their personal income, or they're taking on a venture on a piece of property that we were technically going to take off the tax rolls, period. So I kind of appreciate that, and especially the fact that it's still going to keep with our historic High Street at the same time. So thank you guys again. I just wanted to state that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I hope I didn't speak out of turn by sharing that. We've had a great experience with our landlords, and I know commercial is a bit different. With commercial, it's just contractual law that governs it. There's no protections whatsoever. But
Yeah,
I know what you're saying is true. Our goddaughter lives on Bauer Street, and her mom is in a battle right now with the rent increase that she's facing. So I think it's a real thing, especially for residential, but I can say for commercial as well. It's probably a good thing. It's true. When we first leased in the end of 2016, it was under market what we were paying. So it's nice to see that, maybe things are improving with the city and not everything is dirt cheap anymore. I mean, at the end of the day, that speaks to things that are, happening with the economy, but it is at a rate that was going to be unsustainable for us as commercial tenants. So especially for residential, but also for commercial, I'd love to be part of a conversation and see what we can do to help, if anything.
yeah.
But
Thank you.
these changes are not always
Councilor
easy.
McGivern?
Thank you, Chair. Sometimes I listen and I know I'm not supposed to speak and say exactly what's on my mind. Sometimes I say, if I don't say what exactly on my mind, I'm not doing my job either. And this is respectful. Councilor Rivera, get rent control out of your mind, please. It doesn't work anywhere. All right.
I'm not saying, I just said it because it was referred. That's it. My bad.
I apologize to the chair for doing this by name, but it's out of respect. And I understand exactly where our Ward 2 councilor is coming from, but we as a city don't want to own property. We acquired this property under circumstances that are wrong. Any property we own that is not for public use doesn't belong to the city. It came from the private sector, and we want to get it back to the private sector. To our two entrepreneurs, my own humble opinion is what works for you on the second floor to make this project work is what's important. Whether it is low income or whether it is, market rate or somewhere probably in between, to me, it makes the project work. And once it goes back into the private sector, I think we have to respect that. It's up to the owners to make some decisions as to what they're going to do. And if we try to dictate that too far, I think we're not going to attract good proposals in front of us for property that we don't want to own.
Yep, Councilor Bacon?
I'd just like to make a couple comments. And I appreciate this proposal largely because you're saving the historic building, which I think has value for the community. And I'm seeing the progress that started years ago where we're moving properties off more quickly. Historically, we had properties for years and years and years until they either fell down or we had to tear them down. And this, to me, is movement in the right direction to preserve rather than demolish. So I do take the points made about the community benefit relative to low income and increasing values of property, right? We're all happy when our property value is increasing until we get our tax bill. And the downside of the increasing property values is exactly what we're hearing from these folks who've been leasing. The lease rates go way up because they're all net, net, net. And so as the values go up and the taxes go up, so do the leases. Which is why the old rule, for those who are big on the financial, is buy and pay your own mortgage instead of paying somebody else's, right? So we're kind of seeing this whole dynamic play out in real time with this proposal from my perspective. And so I welcome it being put back into a valued property. And I'm a big fan of letting people who own their property do what they want with it. I do see this applicant as being sensitive to the community, having said that. So I think they will continue to pursue their business in the way that they have in the past, right? The best predictor of
yes, and I can
future
certainly
performance
provide
is past performance. So I find myself warm to this proposal. Thank you.
Awesome. I am not seeing
Madam
any
Chair?
other comment. Oh, sorry. Did you have your hand up? My bad.
No, I didn't put it up. Sorry.
Okay. Councilor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of thoughts. I'm really excited for this proposal. I've known Katie and Carlos for a little over 2 years now, and I know of the great work that they do in the community. Something that stick out to me is a lot of things that I hear in this body is that we have a lot of nonprofits, and I know Carlos and Katie are not a nonprofit, but they still do work like a nonprofit. They work to help and do social justice work. So I appreciate the work that they do, and I'm excited for this. To Councilor Puello's point about the community benefit agreement, I do agree with that. I mean, this is the body of the people, and we are talking about property that belongs to the people. So, I would love to have a discussion with you around what that may look like. But I will say, with this particular project, I'm okay with, because I just know the work that Katie and Carlos do, and I'm just excited to see that continuing happening in our city. So I'm looking forward to saying yes when it comes to the full council.
Thank you, Council.
Wonderful. So I'm not seeing any other comments or questions or anything. It sounds like we're good.
I'll make. What's that?
Oh, I think we're good.
Okay, I'm just going to make a motion that we recommend the conveyance to the full city council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, great.
No, I meant no.
I was gonna. You caught me off guard for a little.
It's been a long week.
I was like, that's not what I was thinking. All right. Okay. Cool. Great. Giving me a little Run for my money, Joe. So with that, I want to thank Katie and Carlos and Aaron and John. Aaron, please tell your son Odin that we all said hi. And just thank you all for being here this evening. And hey, bud. And we look forward to having this before the full council at our next meeting. And then I think that's it for you guys. So thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've been here the whole time.
I love it. Okay, so the following items on the agenda are for the purposes of disposal. I'm not really
Motion to
anticipating.
make abbreviated reading and motion to take up as a package.
4 through 24.
Items 4 through, yes,
24.
yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And
Silence is golden.
that's good. Okay, great. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn this
Well,
meeting?
no,
wait,
We
what do
have
I do?
to-
You
I have to
do-
dispose them.
No, you do need to read each item
Okay.
in an abbreviated form.
Got you. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
highlight.
All right. Item 4 is the Geriatric Authority, and we have a big order about the Geriatric Authority, that the Housing Authority hire a surveyor, and that the City Council or the city convey to the Housing Authority parcel for $1. Then I keep going. Item 5, McGee, Bresnahan, Soto, Tallman ordered that the Holyoke Court of Ordinances Procurement Ordinance vote to declare 2 parcels formerly owned by the Geriatric Authority as surplus property. Item 6 is a petition of Verizon New England. Item 7 is the Paper Street adjacent to Muller Street be declared surplus. Item 8 is the City Council adopt a resolution affirming the City of Holyoke's commitment to being a safe and accepting community. Item 8 is ordered that the City Council convey parcel 117-00148 to the Housing Authority for $1. Item 9 is that Neighbor to Neighbor and its staff be invited to DGR. Item 10 is that Holyoke is a welcoming community, and we recognize that. Item 11 is a petition for a new special permit for a home occupation at 170 Oak Street. Item 12, 2-acre parcels on Mountain Road be placed into the conservation area. Item 13 is ordered that Mass DOT come in to discuss traffic at Dillon Ave, Dwight Street, Northampton Street. Item 14 is management of Wisteria-Hearst provide to the City Council a report documenting the $250,000 grant it received. Item 15 is that we consider declaring a portion of a parcel on East Hampton Road as surplus property available for disposition. Item 16 is a petition for a joint or identical pole location for Verizon New England and HG&E. Item 17 is that the City Council adopt a resolution opposing HB 3320, also referred to as the Roe Bill. 18 is that a representative from ROCA come before a Public Service Committee. Item 19 is that the Directors of Community Development, the Office of Planning, Housing Authority meet with DGR to talk about the usage of HUD Section 108 funds. Item 20 is that the mayor or the law department about the 2 Casey contracts, please advise City Council. Item 21 is also about the Casey contract. Let's see, item 22 is also about the Casey contract. Item 23 is that DGR meet with the superintendent of DPW about snow removal on sidewalks near the canals. Item 24 is that the council declare Old Rock Valley Road parcel as surplus available for disposition.
Motion that the items be given leave to withdraw.
Do I have a second?
Second, and I know we're not discussing, but may I ask a personal request?
Of course.
On item 11, in item 16.
Okay.
Microphone, Counselor.
Oh, thank you.
And seeing my special request is going to be to our administrative assistant who just told me to turn my microphone on. On item 11 in item 16 are petitions. I just would ask if Jeffrey could be in touch with the law department and make sure the motion to dispose of is correct, because they don't belong to the city council, they belong to petitioners, and I think we may have to do something a little bit different.
Gotcha.
But I agree that we should dispose of them because they're both dead items.
Okay.
So I could amend my motion to say, given leave to withdraw, and that items 16 and 11 be disposed of in accordance with advice from the law department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Great.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Oh, do I have
Aye.
a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you all so much for your help guiding me. And thank you, everyone who tuned in. Exactly. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.